Hi everyone. So today I'm going to discuss the editorial section of the Hindu newspaper. Today's Sunday edition and today's date is 11 June 2023. So let's start. So the first article is about how does the rail interlocking system work. Balasore incident has been in news since a long time, and this article also tries to dig deep into the analysis of what had happened that day and what conditions that have led to such an heavy collision. So let's start with our first definition of what is an interlocking system. So the railway traffic is controlled by railway signaling. जितना भी railway traffic है वो railway signaling के through control किया जाता है. Interlocking जो कि इसका एक बहुत ही important part है, उसके अंदर there is a set of apparatus involved. Set of apparatus as in set of instrument involved जो कि मैनेज करता है देर इज सेफ मूवमेंट ऑफ ट्रेन्स. कौन से ट्रेन को किस ट्रैक पर जाना है, किस ट्रैक पर नहीं जाना है, ट्रेन के ट्रैक्स पर कैसा ट्रैफिक मूवमेंट है, इसको कंट्रोल करता है. सो देर इज अ टाइप ऑफ इंटरलॉकिंग विच इज इलेक्ट्रिक इंटरलॉकिंग. इट इज मॉडर्न एडवांस वर्जन जो कि सिग्नलिंग का वर्जन है एक, which involves computers, which involves microprocessors, which involves electronic equipment. So there's a lot of technicalities involved to control signaling, to control points, to control level crossing gates. So it ensures कि सभी components एक सेफ मैनर में मूव करे, एक प्रॉपर सीक्वेंस में काम करे, ताकि ट्रेन्स जो हैं वो एक दूसरे के वे में ना आए, विच इज वेरी ऑब्वियस. बिकॉज अगर ट्रेन्स एक दूसरे के वे में आएंगी दैट कैन लीड टू हैवी कोलिजन. एंड so let's move on. There are three components that forms the basis of an electronic interlocking system. First of all is signal. Signal as in which is very similar to our traffic signals that we come across on the roads, which is the red light, which means to stop, green means to proceed, and yellow means to exercise caution. Now, the second component is point. These are movable sections of a track which allow a train to change track by guiding the vehicles towards a straight or a diverging line. For instance, if a train has to change line, अगर हम ऐसे सोच सकते हैं that if a train has to move on, it's moving on line 1 and it is supposed to change towards line 2. So the point is activated and ahead of time, पहले से time के पहले, ताकि for the safety, and then it is logged. फिर the third component is track circuit. Track circuit को let's understand with the help of the diagram that was published in the newspaper. So as you can see, image A जो है that shows the track circuit when the track is unoccupied. Track जब unoccupied है and जो relay है वो energized है. So in the second diagram, the relay is de-energized and the block is occupied. That means the block is occupied. How does the track circuit know that the block is occupied? The train axle short circuits the track circuit. जो ट्रेन एक्सेल है वो शॉर्ट सर्किट कर देता है ट्रैक सर्किट को एंड इट कट्स फ्रॉम हियर. So the power supply here is disrupted and the track circuit is short circuited. So let's understand how does this system work. Now the system receives a command. System को command मिलती है and information मिलती है whether it is a safe route or an unsafe route. फिर जो determined route होता है that is aligned, that is determined, and signaling devices are interlocked at a particular position. A signal to pass is given based on which direction the track is set and whether the divergent track is free of obstruction. Now जो signaling tracks, signaling devices है जो हमने पढ़े हैं, the three signaling द सिग्नल, द पॉइंट एंड द ट्रैक सर्किट्स, उनको ऐसी पोजीशन में अलाइन किया जाता है, just like the diagram we just saw, and they determine whether the track is occupied, whether the track is unoccupied, and then the divergent track is free of obstruction. Obstruction as in whether वहाँ पे एक already train खड़ी है या नहीं खड़ी है. And if a train is required to switch lines, then the system will direct it to the empty track. अगर ऑलरेडी वहां पे एक ट्रेन खड़ी है तो सिस्टम क्या करेगा, उस जो ट्रेन आ रही है उसको बोलेगा दैट यू नीड टू चेंज योर लाइन, एंड you need to change the line from the point where those two lines meet, so that the train doesn't collide with the train which is already standing on the line. So the track circuits meanwhile prevent multiple trains from running on that block to avoid a collision. So track circuit क्या करता है कि ahead of time ही आपको बता देता है that whether you need to change the line or not. Now all points remain locked until the train has crossed a particular section of the track in use or the signal to proceed has been withdrawn. तब तक सारे पॉइंट्स लॉक रहते हैं जब तक जो भी कमांड है उसको पूरा नहीं किया जाता, वहां से ट्रेन चली नहीं जाती, एंड जब तक वो ट्रैक पर्टिकुलर ट्रैक खाली नहीं हो जाता बाकी ट्रेन को डायरेक्शन देने के लिए. Okay, and in case there is a failure in the system, the red light will be flashed indicating the route ahead is not clear or safe. So, in case सिस्टम खराब हो जाता है, एक रेड लाइट फ्लैश हो जाती है इंडिकेटिंग कि रूट जो है वो आगे सेफ नहीं है, बिकॉज द सिग्नलिंग डिवाइसेस आर नॉट करेक्टली गाइडिंग यू whether you need to be on the track or not. Okay, so now what? So let's focus on what happened in the Odisha train crash. Now, the Bahanaka Bazaar station has four lines. Four lines, two main lines. Main lines जो होती हैं, they are primarily used by trains that don't have a scheduled stop, no stop. And two loop lines. Loop lines के पास, they have to stop. They have to stop at the scheduled station. Now, at the time of the accident, two goods trains were stopped on the two loop lines, while the route was set for two mail express trains that were to pass the station via main line. Main line से होकर they had to leave for their station. Now, the Coromandel Express. Coromandel Express had to head south, that is Chennai. Now, and it was given a green signal to enter the up main line. And the second one, which is Yeshwantpur Howrah Express, which was heading towards Kolkata, was to move in the down main line. At the time of the accident, the Yeshwantpur Howrah was running at a speed of 126 km per hour, and the Coromandel Express was traveling at 120 km per hour. दोनों ट्रेन की स्पीड दैट वाज अंडर द लिमिट, जो भी परमिसिबल लिमिट है, जो भी सेट करी गई है फॉर द ट्रेन, दोनों ही परमिसिबल लिमिट के अंडर थी. एज द कोरोमंडल एक्सप्रेस वाज अप्रोचिंग द स्टेशन देयर वाज अ सिग्नलिंग इशू. नाउ अभी हमने देखा दैट देयर वाज अ सिग्नलिंग इशू. अगर सिग्नलिंग इशू होता है, एक रेड लाइट फ्लैश होती है दैट दिस रूट इज नॉट सेफ, बट the official said, and the train moved out of the main line and veered onto the adjacent track. Now, this interlocking system is very important. एक भी point अगर lock ना हो and then the train moves out of its track, its desired track, then such collisions usually happen, and where it crashed into a parked freight train as in the goods train, जो कि वहां पे parked थी already, carrying iron ore. This is very important that it was carrying the iron ore, triggering the multi-train collision. तीन trains साथ में collide करती हैं. Okay. Now, this was it with the rail interlocking system and the Balasore incident. Let's move on to the next article. which is about why are crypto exchanges in the line of fire. This involves the cryptocurrencies. Now let's understand what is happening with this article. The SEC filed charges against Binance, alleging commingling of funds and diversion to a company owned by the CEO, Zhao. So, SEC is the US Securities Exchange Commission. You can write it here. SEC is US Securities and Exchange Commission. It has filed charges against Binance. It is alleging that Binance is commingling funds and it is diversion to a company owned by CEO Zhangpeng Zhao. Uh, Binance allowed high value US customers to access its international platform, violating regulations. SEC accused Binance of deception. Deception का मतलब धोखाधड़ी and conflicts of interest, lack of disclosure. Disclosure मतलब जो भी आपके फंड्स हैं आपके अकाउंट्स हैं उनको डिस्क्लोज करना एंड इवेजन ऑफ द लॉ एज इन लॉ को इवेड करना और लॉ को वायलेट करना. Coinbase was sued by SEC for evading disclosure requirements के जो भी as in disclosure requirements that were set up by this particular commission. They didn't do that, and they were sued, or they were legally sued by these by this commission, and trading unregistered cryptocurrencies. Trading unregistered cryptocurrencies, according to US Commission, is a crime, and the actions by the SEC raise concerns about the safety of the customers fund on Binance and Coinbase. Actually, what is happening around is that they are commingling funds, and the risk that is associated with commingling. Commingling का मतलब होता है कि अगर suppose that there are funds that are belonging to one party, and I mix those funds with the funds belonging to another party. uh, उसको कोमिंगलिंग बोलते हैं. एक्चुअली कोमिंगलिंग के साथ क्या होता है दैट जितने भी कॉस्ट होते हैं अलग अलग अकाउंट्स को मैनेज करने के, इट रिड्यूसेस दैट कॉस्ट. सो that kind of is profitable to companies. So but there is also a risk involved. So it means that the risk associated with this is when the buyer pay but the money doesn't reach the investor. इसका मतलब है that it is the cash that the buyer has paid, it's either getting lost or it is getting commingled with other funds. So that is a very uh, bad threat to the customers funds safety, and the SEC has sued these two companies for that, Binance and Coinbase. Now, Binance ने respond किया, it is expressing disappointment, and it's just planning to defend itself in the court. And Binance.US's banking partners may pause fiat withdrawal channels due to SEC's actions. Now, they are going to halt their withdrawal channels because of the SEC's actions, or they of legal actions. The SEC aims to bring, now what is SEC trying to aim is that they are trying to bring crypto exchanges under US securities law. Uh, since I had mentioned in the previous slide that they are not they are saying, the SEC is saying that Coinbase जो है वो अनरजिस्टर्ड क्रिप्टो करेंसीज को ट्रेड कर रहा है एंड डिस्क्लोजर एनवायरमेंट रिक्वायरमेंट फुलफिल नहीं कर रहा है. तो नाउ दे आर ट्राइंग टू गेट स्ट्रिंजेंट, दे आर ट्राइंग टू गेट very hard with them, and they want them to bring all of these currencies under US securities law. But industry executive, जो भी cryptocurrencies के industry executives हैं, they are very hesitant, they are very, they don't want to engage, they are very, they don't want to, involve get involved in all such stuff. So the regulatory uncertainty caused a decline in cryptocurrency prices. Now obviously, if cryptocurrencies are very very volatile to the surroundings, to what is happening in their surroundings. So now that this regulatory uncertainty, जो भी SEC ने actions लिए, they have caused a decline in cryptocurrency prices and may lead to panic selling. Now people are going to, they know that cryptocurrency के prices गिर रहे हैं, they'll have to suffer losses, so they'll start panic selling. And that will lead to further decline in the prices. The impact on the crypto market highlights the vulnerability of small and volatile industry to regulatory shocks. Now, just as I have discussed right now, that cryptocurrencies are very, very volatile to their surroundings. So this particular incident have highlighted that the vulnerability of small and volatile industry to regulatory shock. जब भी regulations आएंगी, जब भी the industries will be sued, so, which are very volatile, which are very vulnerable. So these stuff will happen, and that is why all this stuff explains the impact on the crypto market. Next article. So this is a very, very interesting article about what is happening to the Arctic ice sea. Why will even reduce carbon emissions not be able to stop the ice from melting in summer? Now, climate change is a hot topic, and the scientists now are coming up with various researches associated with climate change. And one of the scientific opinion is that even if we reduce carbon emissions, we will not be able to stop the summer melting of the ice in the Arctic Sea. Now, let's understand why is Arctic Sea important. Arctic Sea ice acts as a reflective surface, reflecting sunlight back into space. Now, this is Arctic Sea, and this is the surface. Now, when sunlight, it will reflect the sunlight back, and now this will maintain this surface, and it will keep the polar regions and maintain their cooler temperatures. Now, the presence of the sea ice creates a barrier between cold air and warmer water, contributing to the cooling effect of the Arctic region. Reduction in sea ice can initiate a feedback loop where increased ocean warming leads to further ice loss and additional warming. Now, what will happen? Already, the due to global warming, we see that ice is melting. Okay, global warming, ice melting. Now, what happens? That now that we experience summer, and summer, which is very obvious that ice melts in summer. Now that will all these will lead to a feedback loop. Now summer is melting the ice, global warming is melting the ice, global warming is increasing summers, ice melting, and then again due to ice melting, global warming is increasing. Now both of them feed each other. That creates a feedback loop. Okay, so changes in sea ice have ecological implication. There will be ecological implication. There will be ecological effects. There that will affect the biodiversity, impacting species such as polar bear, walruses that rely on ice for hunting and breeding. Okay, what happens is when the ice will melt, species uh, which are, the species that are in the food chain, that are in the lower position on the food chain, they will die. They will die due to, the temperatures, the rising temperatures, because the bodies of these organisms are made to adapt to polar regions. Now that they will experience summers, उनके साथ ये होगा that they will experience warmer temperature in their bodies and they will eventually die. नाउ दैट जो भी ऑर्गेनिज्म नीचे हैं फूड चेन के, अगर वो मर जाएंगे तो पोलर बियर्स और वॉलरसेस जो कि दे आर ऑन द अपर पोजीशन ऑफ द फूड चेन, दे विल डाई बिकॉज दे वोंट गेट एनी they won't get any hunt, or they won't be able to breed. So, decreased sea ice coverage presents both challenges and opportunities, including impacts on indigenous. Indigenous, we'll discuss this particular word in the vocabulary. Arctic populations and the potential for increased access to shipping lanes and natural resources. So, what does the new study say? There is a new study in Nature confirms that there is no scenario, कोई भी ऐसा situation नहीं है, even with emission reductions, जब आर्कटिक सी आइस जो है उसको समर में मेल्ट होने से भी सेव किया जा सके. So, the study suggests that under current emission trajectories, the world could experience its first sea ice free summer in the 2030s, much earlier than previously anticipated. So, I want you guys to comment in the comment section, what does trajectories means? Please write down the meaning of word trajectory in the comment section. And so let's understand this point. नाउ स्टडी ने बोला है दैट अगर ऐसे ही कार्बन एमिशंस होते रहेंगे, एंड देन द वर्ल्ड कुड एक्सपीरियंस दिस सी आइस फ्री समर, दैट ऐसी समर आएगी 2030s में, दैट देयर विल बी नो आर्कटिक सी आइस, सब मेल्ट हो चुकी होएगी. एंड दैट इज वेरी वेरी अर्ली देन प्रीवियसली एंटिसिपेटेड, एज इन के जितना हमने पहले सोचा था उससे भी जल्दी आ रहा है. The findings indicate that the rate of Arctic sea ice loss has been approximately 13% per year since satellite records began. नाउ दैट इज कि हम 13% हर साल आर्कटिक सी की आइस को लूज करते हैं जब से सैटेलाइट्स ने रिकॉर्ड करना स्टार्ट किया है. द स्टडी हाईलाइट्स द अर्जेंसी ऑफ ड्रास्टिक एमिशन रिडक्शंस टू मिटिगेट फर्दर loss of Arctic sea ice. Now, sea ice is very, very important, as we had seen in the previous slide. Now, it is highlighting कि हमें करने हैं emissions reduce, but बहुत fast rate पे करने हैं. It is very urgent to tackle climate change. It challenges the assumption that limiting temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius as outlined in the Paris Agreement would prevent an ice-free Arctic summer. मतलब ऐसा जो मतलब assumption किया गया था पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में कि अगर हम 1.5 डिग्री या 2 डिग्री एमिशन रिड्यूस करेंगे तो हम आइस फ्री आर्कटिक समर को प्रिवेंट कर पाएंगे. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द पेरिस अग्रीमेंट. So the Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty on climate change. Now they set out a framework to avoid dangerous climate change, के जो भी climate change होगा उसको tackle करने के लिए क्या क्या steps लेने हैं. They want कि we limit the global warming and well below 2 degrees Celsius, and They want to limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It also aims to strengthen countries' abilities to deal with the impacts of climate change. Now, we see that पेरिस अग्रीमेंट के अंदर बोला गया कि वी नीड टू लिमिट टेम्परेचर राइज टू 1.5 डिग्री सेल्सियस या 2 डिग्री सेल्सियस बट जो स्टडी है उसके अकॉर्डिंगली जितना दे आर दे हैड प्रीवियसली एंटिसिपेटेड उससे भी ज्यादा जल्दी हमारे पास सी आइस फ्री समर आ रहा है बट वी नीड टू अर्जेंटली टैकल दैट and these stringent targets even that stringent targets may not be sufficient. Now, what's the basis for the study's conclusion? The study estimated that approximately 90% of the ice melting in the Arctic was caused by human-induced, मतलब humans की वजह से और anthropogenic factors. Now, 90% जितने भी आइस है दे हैड मेल्टेड इन द आर्कटिक वो ह्यूमंस की वजह से हुई है एंड एंथ्रोपोजेनिक फैक्टर्स की वजह से आई वांट यू टू राइट द मीनिंग ऑफ द वर्ड एंथ्रोपोजेनिक इन द कमेंट सेक्शन. Please do that. The meaning of the word anthropogenic. Now, climate models, including those used by Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change (IPCC), they have underestimated the rate of melting. के जितनी melting हो रही है, they all these climate models they have underestimated that. क्योंकि इससे भी ज्यादा हो रही है. Now, correcting for the underestimating melting rate revealed that by 2080 in emission scenario, temperatures will increase by 4.5 degrees Celsius. Now, these are very underestimated melting rates. They are, this new studies are revealing कि ये भी हो सकता है by 2020 temperature increases in exceeding 4.5 degrees Celsius. So the projections for September were considered reasonable. Now, in the above point, we study that ice-free August or October's we see that there will be ice free August and October by 2080. बट जो सितंबर के प्रोजेक्शन हुए उनको रीजनेबल माना गया उनको सही माना गया बिकॉज टेम्परेचर चेंजेस शो लिटिल डिफरेंस उनमें कोई ज्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं था बिटवीन हाई एंड लो एमिशन पाथवेज अंटिल 2060 तक. The conclusions were supported by the analysis of the anthropogenic influence on ice melting and considering the similarity in temperature changes across emission scenario. Now, these projections for the September month they match the models and the new study conclusions. Now, what can be done? क्या किया जा सकता है? Reducing carbon emissions को, they are very crucial. We need to reduce them, but we need to reduce them at a very fast rate. Now, we need to adapt to climate tipping points. We, even though we need to mitigate the impacts of diminishing sea ice, we also need के, अगर हमें reduce करनी है carbon emissions, हमें क्लाइमेट चेंज के साथ अडेप्ट भी करना है बिकॉज क्लाइमेट चेंज ऑल्दो इट इज गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट स्पीशीज विद इट इज गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट ह्यूमंस फ्लड्स आएंगे ड्रॉट्स आएंगे वी नीड टू अडेप्ट टू दैट लिमिटिंग ग्लोबल टेम्परेचर राइज इन लाइन विद द पेरिस एग्रीमेंट गोल्स कैन हेल्प स्लो डाउन द मेल्टिंग ऑल्दो ये बोला गया कि दीज गोल्स आर वेरी they are not going to slow down the melting of the icy. They Arctic icy and Arctic seas ice. They are going to they are going to help in limiting that global temperature. Investing in renewable energy sources and transitioning away from fossil fuels. These are very basic pointers that we need to adapt to the renewable energy resources and we need to transition from fossil fuels petrols use karna band karo and then electric vehicles pe switch karo and you can this can help in reduce the carbon footprint on the planet. implementing policies, stringent policies लगानी है in the, practices that promote energy efficiency, that renewable energy पे काम करती है जो, and sustainable practices can curb emissions, mitigating climate change. इंटरनेशनल कॉपरेशन, सब कंट्रीज को काम करना है, मिलके काम करना है, बिकॉज इट इज इट्स अ ग्लोबल प्रॉब्लम. So the entire globe has to work against it, and they need to address the challenges posed by the melting Arctic sea ice and the broader and the overall climate crisis. Now, the next article, which is the journal's warning. Now, it is a very descriptive article. So, let's start. Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu criticized the rules based international order, right? There are international order होता है, the countries follow करती हैं कुछ rules को अपने बीच में. So जो Chinese Defense Minister था ली शांगफू, उसने इन चीजों को criticize किया अपनी speech में जो उसने शांग्रीला में दी थी, कि इसमें मतलब ट्रांसपेरेंसी नहीं रहती, एंड इट सर्व्स ओनली अ फ्यू कंट्रीज, सिर्फ एक फ्यू कंट्रीज के इंटरेस्ट में सर्व करता है. ली एम्फसाइज चाइना की लीडरशिप एंड बोला कि बीजिंग की लेड लाइंस पर्टिकुलरली रिगार्डिंग ताइवान. Now China is, it is very reluctant to, in rules-based international orders. And usne, he was very strict with Taiwan and bola कि Chinese military will resolutely safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity. His speech reflected Chinese President Xi Jinping's messaging, which portrays a divided and disorderly world and highlights the need for China's leadership. चाइना बोलता है हम जो करेंगे खुद करेंगे, वर्ल्ड को हमारे और ताइवान के बीच में आने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. एंड ही इज वेरी, his speeches are very divided, and China wants a rule के जिसमें उसके साथ कोई इन्वॉल्व ना हो, and he wants a very divided world, disorderly world. The emphasis on security alongside economic development makes a shift in China's approach, focusing. China wants to be self-reliant. China wants to, you know, see through its matters by its own, and it wants to address challenges on national security. Lee's appointment as defense minister was unexpected but aligns with China's focus on technological warfare, in addition to traditional military capabilities. Lee Ki appointment was very unexpected, very surprising, but it aligns with China's focus on technological warfare, because Lee was actually the one of the very first Chinese defense minister who belonged from the aerospace sector. Now that his जो ली जो था वो बिलोंग करता था एरोस्पेस सेक्टर को, तो इट इज वेरी अंडरस्टैंडेबल कि चाइना का फोकस टेक्नोलॉजिकल वॉरफेयर पे है, तो दे वांट अ पर्सन हु कुड हैंडल, हु कुड मैनेज ऑल दिस वेरी वेल. Now he came from a aerospace background, having served in PLA's Equipment Development Department and worked extensively at Xinjiang's satellite launch base. यहाँ उसने काम किया था. Xinjiang satellite launch base and PLA's Equipment Development Department. Lee was previously sanctioned by the US under the Countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act, CARTA Act, for significant transactions related to defense cooperation with Russia. Now, he was previously sanctioned that he had ties with Russia, and he didn't work properly. The US sought a meeting between Lee and the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, but tensions and sanctions prevented substantive talks from taking place. मतलब recent incidents, including aggressive maneuvers by Chinese aircraft and naval vessels near US forces, highlight potential for kinetic clashes or accidents in the South China Sea. Lee maintained that other countries should respect China's territorial sovereignty. China जो करेगा वो खुद करेगा. No country needs to get involved with China stuff, and they refrain from provocative actions and emphasizing the principle mind your own business. China says mind your own business, and they can maintain their own territorial sovereignty. Now moving on to the next article, which is water as a weapon. रशिया यूक्रेन की जो लड़ाई है उसमें stuff has they have escalated since it has started. Now the Dnipro River, also known as Dnieper, is a major transborder river in Europe that flows from Russia through Belarus. बेलारस से होती हुई जाती है नॉर्थ यूक्रेन एंड फिर जाती है इट ड्रेन्स टू द ब्लैक सी. Dnipro Reservoir Cascade, a series of reservoirs built during the Soviet era. सोवियत एरा में बना था जब रशिया नहीं था बट इट वाज यूएसएसआर. help regulate rivers flow, prevent flooding and generate electricity. इस रिजर्वॉयर को इन तीन पर्पस के लिए बनाया गया था. इन द इनिशियल स्टेजेस ऑफ द रशियन इन्वेजन, जब रशियन इन्वेजन हुआ फरवरी 2022 में, रशियन फोर्सेस ने नोवा खवोका डैम को अपने कंट्रोल में ले लिया था. एंड जो भी इसके साथ डैम के साथ पावर प्लांट था खेरसन यूक्रेन में, उसको अपने कंट्रोल में ले लिया था. नवंबर में क्या होता है, यूक्रेनियन फोर्सेस जो है एक दे लॉन्च ऑफेंसिव एंड फोर्स रशियन ट्रूप्स टू विड्रॉ फ्रॉम खेरसन, although they maintain control over Novakhovka. ऑन जून 6 डैम डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाता है, फ्लडिंग हो जाती है डाउनस्ट्रीम नेसेसिटिंग. अब इन एज यूक्रेन फोर्सेस अटैक करती हैं, दोनों कंट्रीज के बीच में क्लैशेस होते हैं, डैम डिस्ट्रॉय किया जाता है जिसकी वजह से फ्लडिंग हो जाती है. एंड ड्यू टू दैट दे नीडेड टू इवैक्यूएट द इवैक्यूएशंस की जाती हैं सिटीजन्स की, एंड देन जो भी उन डैम्स की साइड्स पे रहते थे, and then the animals, the marine animals. Now, the dam was initially constructed under Soviet leaders, Joseph Stalin, a very, very famous Russian leader, and Nikita Khrushchev. These are the Cold War times. Okay, and it plays a vital role in supplying water to the Crimean Peninsula annexed by Russia in 2014, and Zaporizhia nuclear plant, which is now under Russian control. Both of these peninsula and nuclear plant are under Russia's control now. Okay, so last year dam sluice gates were damaged during जैसे हमने देखा that in November when US forces launched the attack, and the dams gates were damaged, and it was the blame was shifted on both Russia and Ukraine for the incident. Following the destruction of the dam, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky held Russia responsible, while the Kremlin as in Putin claimed Ukrainian shelling caused the collapse. Now, both of these parties blame each other. The attack on the dam, similar to Nord Stream pipeline bombing. This pipeline bombing also happened, is surrounded by uncertainty and various theories about the responsible parties. अब दोनों कंट्रीज एक दूसरे के ऊपर अटैक कर रही हैं, एक दूसरे को ब्लेम कर रही हैं. नाउ वी डू नॉट नो हु टू ब्लेम for this damage and for other damages as well. Now, the destruction of the dam has redrawn the front line in southern Ukraine, widened no-go areas. Like, you know, the dam is destructed. Now, this has led to displacement of thousands of people, uh, increase and widen no-go areas. That no-go areas are the restricted areas where public isn't allowed, primarily in Russia-controlled parts of Kherson. Next article is Winds of Change. Now, Pita Jar Groenart is a Thai politician leading the Move Forward Party with reformist and pro democracy ideas. The MFP gained significant support in the elections with 14 out of 39 million voters supporting the anti establishment problem. Now, PITA aims to demonopolize business monopolies, weaken military royalist rule, and introduce progressive reform. The party proposes amending the lese-majestic law, which protects monarchy from public criticism. Now, that is very similar to the law of sedition that you cannot provoke hatred in people against the government. Now, lay majesté rule or the lay majesté, laissez majesté rule law protects monarchy. Monarchy, if it public criticizes the monarchy, this particular law protects them against that criticism. तो फिर MFP जो है, it is the largest party. They still need additional support to form a government due to bicameral parliament structure. Bicameral parliament structure is present in India as well, which is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha uh, by means two, which is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now, similar to what happens in India's parliament. Large parties also need sometimes additional support from the parties. So this party also needs that. While the this particular leader's popularity stems from being seen as a political heartthrob. Now he's very popular. He's a symbol of change. Uh, he comes from wealthy and political family background with connections to influential figures in Thai politics. Now he has a connection with the very influential figures, and he comes from a wealthy and political family background. Uh, his campaign utilized user generated TikTok content to engage with younger audience. Now he tries to engage with the younger audience with the help of TikTok, and he has faced personal controversies, including a high-profile divorce and allegations of shared possession that could disqualify him from becoming prime minister. Now, Thailand's rules they are very strict for the election of the prime minister. Now, he has been alleged with share proportion that could share possession that could disqualify him. Now, he represents a wind of change in Thailand, resonating with those seeking a more progressive and democratic future. Now, that's it with the articles. Now, I would like to proceed with the vocabulary. So, the first word is zenith. Zenith is the time at which something is most powerful and successful. Zenith is the time at which something is most powerful and successful. If you had to make a sentence with the help of this word, it would be once Japan was at its zenith, of technical advancement एंड इनोवेशन। इसका मतलब है दैट एक टाइम पर जापान जो था वो अपने चरम सीमा पर था, अपने जीनिथ पे था एट द टाइम ऑफ एडवांसमेंट एंड इनोवेशन। इंडिजिनस नेटिव, नेटिव बोल सकते हैं, मतलब इसका मीनिंग होता है ओरिजिनेटिंग एट अ पर्टिकुलर रीजन। If you had to make a sentence, it would be the indigenous tribes of India have rich cultural heritage। मतलब जो भी द नेटिव ट्राइब्स जो हैं, जैसे कि देयर आर वेरियस ट्राइब्स इन इंडिया विच आर इंडिजिनस, विच आर नेटिव टू इंडिया ओनली। उनके दे हैव अ वेरी रिच कल्चरल हेरिटेज। तो इंडिजिनस का मतलब इट इज आल्सो द सिनोनिम ऑफ इट इज नेटिव। नाउ व्हाट maneuver, it means planned or calculated movement to achieve a certain objective। Now, the sentence would be that, the military conducted a strategic maneuver to strengthen India's defense capabilities। Now, it is a planned or a calculated movement India ने launch करी to, strengthen its defense capabilities। Now, assails, it means to attack strongly। The government assails corruption, implementing stringent measures to ensure accountability। इसका मतलब गवर्नमेंट जो है वो करप्शन के ऊपर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग अटैक करती है, ताकि एंड इट इम्प्लीमेंट्स stringent measures to ensure that people are accountable। Hysteria, this word is very popular in the COVID times, mass hysteria. So I want you to write down the meaning of this particular word in the comment section, and also a sentence that you could frame out of this word. Thank you. That's it for today from my side.